chosen ones, listen closely today, marks a moment that even the heavens could not ignore. Allah was amazed because you finally did what your heart has been preparing for, what your soul has been waiting for, and what your destiny demanded all along. Every trial you endured, every tear you shed, every moment you felt unseen or unheard, it all led to this very moment. You are not ordinary. You are among the chosen ones, the servants He has been shaping, refining, and elevating in ways the world cannot comprehend. Today, your trust, your courage, your surrender, and your faith have aligned perfectly with Allah's divine plan, and the impact of this moment is eternal. In this video, we will reveal 7 powerful lessons that will awaken your spirit, strengthen your faith, and remind you that Allah sees, knows, and celebrates every sincere step you take. Chosen one. Today Allah was amazed because, after years of trials, whispers of doubt, and moments when the world turned its back on you, you reached a point where your trust in Him became absolute, unwavering, and unshakable, even when every human eye around you questioned your choices, ridiculed your patience, and doubted your path. You chose to surrender fully, to release control over outcomes, and to place your destiny entirely in the hands of the One who sees beyond the visible, the One who orchestrates every moment with perfect wisdom, the One whose timing never falters and whose knowledge encompasses all things. Today, in the silence of your heart, when no one else believed, when no one else encouraged, when every voice seemed to push you toward despair or indecision, you made a choice that transcends human understanding, a choice that elevates the soul, strengthens the spirit, and opens the doors of divine favor. You let go of the need for validation. You silenced the fear that once held you hostage, and you declared through your very faith that Allah alone is enough, that His wisdom is infallible, and that His plan is perfect, even when the world cannot see it. In that sacred moment of surrender, your heart aligned with the heavens, and Allah gazed upon you with amazement, saying, "Finally, my servant has trusted me completely, without hesitation, without doubt, without reliance on anyone but me. And for this I am pleased, because the chosen ones are not elevated by human recognition, applause, or approval. They are elevated through the quiet, steadfast, unwavering trust that no worldly trial can shake, the trust that becomes their anchor in storms, their light in darkness, their shield against despair, and their ultimate testimony that tawakkul, complete reliance on Allah, is not just an act of obedience but the very essence of a soul aligned with divine destiny. And today, by finally placing your trust fully in Allah, you have stepped into a realm of spiritual elevation that few ever reach, a space where miracles begin to move unseen, doors open that no hand can push, and the angels themselves stand in awe of the faith and courage of a servant who, against all odds, finally surrendered in absolute trust, knowing that Allah's promise is never empty, His timing never flawed, and His plan never incomplete. And in this surrender, you became not just a believer, but a living testament to the power, beauty, and unmatched reward of trusting Allah when no one else could understand, support, or witness the depth of your faith. Chosen one, today Allah was amazed because you finally released the burdens, attachments, and chains that had weighed down your heart for far too long, because the chosen ones are never truly free until they recognize that clinging to what is no longer meant for them, whether it be toxic relationships, past failures, unfulfilled expectations, worldly desires, or the echoes of people who doubted, betrayed, or misunderstood them, can imprison the soul and blind the heart to the divine blessings that await. And so today, you made a conscious, courageous choice to let go, to release the grip on what no longer serves your purpose, to unclench your hands, from the things that Allah never intended to remain in your life, knowing fully that this detachment is not a sign of weakness, but of strength, faith, and spiritual maturity. For the world may never understand why you stepped away from certain people, places, or ambitions, why you walked silently through doors that others thought were opportunities, or why you abandoned paths that once seemed promising. But Allah sees all, and He knows the wisdom hidden in every act of release, every tear shed in private, every whispered prayer for guidance, while letting go of comfort and certainty. Today, by freeing yourself from what was holding you back, you created a sacred space in your heart for divine blessings to flow, for opportunities to enter that could never arrive when your hands were full, for doors to open that were invisible to those still clinging to the temporary, and for miracles to move silently yet powerfully in your favor. And Allah was amazed because in that act of surrender, He witnessed a soul choosing the eternal over the temporary, the unseen over the visible, and the divine plan over personal desire. And in this, He rejoices, saying, "My servant has finally understood that what they hold on to can suffocate the blessings I have prepared for them, and by letting go, they have stepped into freedom, purpose, and alignment with my will." Because the chosen ones are defined not by what they possess, but by what they are willing to release, by the courage to step into the unknown while trusting Allah completely, and by the faith to understand that every loss, every separation, every deliberate act of release is a necessary part of the journey toward elevation, divine favor, and the fulfillment of a destiny that is far greater than the comfort, control, or recognition the world ever promised. And today, by finally letting go, you demonstrated not only courage, but a level of trust, submission, and spiritual awakening that moves the heavens, pleases your Lord, and signals that the chosen ones are now ready to receive what He has been preparing in silence for their ultimate elevation and eternal impact. Chosen one, today Allah was amazed because, in a world that often rewards hesitation, comfort, and conformity, you chose to rise above the trembling of your heart, the doubts of your mind, and the paralyzing grip of fear that sought to hold you back. Because the chosen ones are not those who wait for courage to arrive perfectly, nor do they wait for all risks to vanish, nor for the path to be free of uncertainty. They are those who act with faith in the face of fear, who take a step even when every fiber of their being screams for safety, who speak when silence is safer, and who move forward when retreat feels easier. And today, you embodied this divine principle in its purest form. You moved when the world was watching, when the enemies of your peace were expecting you to falter, when every voice around you whispered doubt or skepticism, and you acted anyway, not because fear disappeared, not because the path was clear, not because you had every answer or every support, but because your faith in Allah, your trust in His plan, and your understanding that true elevation demands courage outweighed the trembling of your heart. And in that act, every step you took became a declaration to the heavens that you would not allow fear to dictate your destiny, that you would not remain stagnant in the shadow of uncertainty, and that your obedience to Allah and pursuit of His purpose is far greater than any temporary discomfort, doubt, or risk the world could present. And Allah, watching this act of faith, was amazed because your courage is not born from arrogance or recklessness, but from absolute reliance on Him, a heart surrendered so fully that fear becomes a mere whisper, a tool that sharpens faith rather than diminishes it, a reminder that those who are chosen are never defined by the absence of fear, but by the presence of unwavering trust, decisive action, and steadfastness in the face of the unknown. And today, your choice to act, despite fear, created ripples in the unseen, moved unseen forces on your behalf, opened doors that no human effort could open, and sent a signal to the heavens that your heart, your soul, and your purpose are fully aligned with Allah's plan, and in this alignment, miracles begin to manifest. Guidance becomes clearer, and the chosen ones step into their divine role with the assurance that fear is never stronger than the power of faith when placed in the one who commands the heavens, the earth, and all that lies between. And today, by acting despite fear, you not only elevated your own soul but set a living example for all who witness your journey, proving that true bravery is a sacred act of trust, obedience, and submission to Allah alone, and in this, He rejoices with amazement at the faith and courage of His chosen servant. Chosen one, today Allah was amazed because you finally released the weight of resentment, anger, and bitterness that had quietly burdened your heart for far too long, because the chosen ones know that true forgiveness is never an act for the person who wronged you, nor is it a concession to human weakness or injustice. It is a sacred, intentional act of obedience, a purification of the soul, and a demonstration of your submission to Allah alone. And today, by forgiving those who hurt you, who betrayed you, who spoke falsely of you, or who acted unjustly in ways that left invisible scars upon your spirit, you are not excusing their actions or diminishing their wrongdoing, but you are choosing to elevate your soul above the chains of anger, above the temptation of revenge, and above the desire to let the world's injustice define your peace. Because the chosen ones understand that holding on to resentment only serves to block the blessings that Allah has prepared for them, that bitterness corrodes the heart and distances the soul from divine mercy, and that forgiveness, when done sincerely for the sake of Allah, becomes a bridge to unimaginable elevation, unseen mercy, and spiritual freedom that cannot be measured by worldly standards. Today, in that profound moment of surrender, when you whispered forgiveness in your heart and released every grievance silently, Allah looked upon you with amazement, seeing a soul that chose mercy over pride, obedience over ego, and purification over retaliation. And He smiled at the depth of your submission, because the chosen ones are never perfected through ease, through comfort, or through victories over others, but through the victories within their own hearts, through the battles they wage against anger, jealousy, and bitterness, and through the moments they rise above human instinct to reflect the divine mercy of their Creator. And in this act of forgiving for Allah alone, you created space for your own healing, for your heart to breathe, and for divine blessings to enter freely, because every act of sincere forgiveness is like a key that unlocks doors the world cannot see, rivers of mercy that flow in unseen ways, and opportunities for spiritual elevation that cannot exist where grudges remain. Today, you demonstrated that the strength of a chosen one lies not in holding on, in proving yourself right, or in seeking justice according to worldly measures, but in surrendering the heart entirely to Allah, allowing His wisdom to guide your response to harm, allowing His light to cleanse the hidden wounds, and allowing the unseen angels to witness the purity of a heart that no longer carries the weight of injustice, but instead mirrors the boundless mercy of the most merciful, the most compassionate. And in this profound surrender, Allah was amazed, because He saw a servant who finally understood that forgiveness for His sake is not weakness, but the ultimate act of courage, the highest form of faith, and a living proof that the chosen ones are elevated not by what they conquer in the world, but by what they conquer within themselves. And today, through your forgiveness, you have stepped into a sacred level of spiritual refinement, a space where divine love, mercy, and elevation flow uninterrupted, where your heart becomes a vessel of light, and where the chosen ones are reminded that obedience, sincerity, and submission, in even the most painful moments, Reveal a soul that is truly aligned with Allah's plan, pleasing Him above all, and inspiring others without a single word. A soul whose very act of forgiving becomes a testament to the power, depth, and purity of faith in the eyes of the Almighty. Chosen one, today Allah was amazed because you finally raised your hands, your heart, and your soul in a way that was sincere, raw, and completely dependent upon Him. Not out of habit, not because of ritual, not because of obligation, but from a place of genuine need, a place where the weight of your heart could no longer remain silent, where the longing of your soul could no longer be contained, and where your reliance on every worldly means had dissolved into the understanding that only Allah alone holds the power to change, to heal, to guide, to provide, and to protect. Today, in that sacred moment of dua, your words may have been few, your voice may have trembled, but your sincerity soared beyond the heavens, because the chosen ones know that true supplication is not measured by eloquence or volume, but by the depth of the heart, the purity of intention, and the humility of the soul. And so you poured out your fears, your hopes, your regrets, your gratitude, your dreams, and your entire being before Allah, acknowledging that He is the only one who can turn trials into triumphs, pain into growth, longing into fulfillment, and despair into hope. And in this act, you demonstrated an understanding that few ever reach, that dua is not merely a request, it is a conversation of the soul with its Creator, a bridge that connects the unseen with the visible, and a declaration that you recognize the limits of your own power and the infinite power of Allah. Today, as you whispered your heart's deepest desires, every tear that fell, every shiver of anticipation, every silent plea was recorded in the heavens. Every angel bore witness to the humility and devotion of your soul, and Allah Himself marveled at the patience, persistence, and purity of your supplication, because the chosen ones are not made in ease. They are refined in longing, tested in moments when hope seems distant, and elevated when the soul turns fully to Allah without expectation of worldly reward, applause, or recognition. Today, your dua was not just an act of asking, it was an act of complete surrender, a recognition that every blessing, every resolution, every mercy flows only from Him, and that the act of turning to Allah in true need, without pride, without hesitation, without distraction, carries a power that shakes the unseen realms and sets in motion the wheels of divine intervention, timing, and provision. And in this sacred moment, your heart aligned perfectly with the heavens, your soul resonated with the angels, and Allah gazed upon you with amazement, saying, "Finally, my servant has called upon me with sincerity, humility, and complete dependence, and for this I am pleased. Their supplication shall not return void, and my mercy shall descend upon them in ways their heart cannot yet imagine." Because the chosen ones are recognized not by the accolades of men, but by the moments when their hearts, in absolute sincerity and true need, turn completely to their Lord, acknowledging His power, His mercy, His wisdom, and His perfect decree. And today, by finally making dua from this place of true need, you have stepped into a spiritual elevation where your prayers become a catalyst for divine change. Your heart becomes a vessel of mercy, and the chosen ones are reminded that the heavens move in response to the sincere whispers of a soul who knows that only Allah can fulfill what no human can. And in this act, your faith, patience, reliance, and love for your Creator are forever honored in ways that transcend time, space, and human comprehension. Chosen one, today, Allah was amazed because after years of preparation, trials, and silent shaping of your character, you finally embraced the divine responsibility that He had been calling you toward, a responsibility not defined by worldly recognition, applause, or temporary comfort, but by the sacred duty to serve, guide, and illuminate the path of others in accordance with His perfect wisdom. And in this moment, you accepted a role that requires courage beyond what the world can measure, patience beyond what human endurance can often sustain, and a faith so deep that it does not falter even when every sign in the physical realm suggests hesitation, doubt, or impossibility. Today, you acknowledge that the gifts, opportunities, and trials that Allah has entrusted to you are not meant for personal gain or vanity, but as instruments to manifest His mercy, His guidance, and His justice through your hands, your words, your actions, and your presence. And this recognition transformed every choice, every step, and every intention into an act of divine alignment. For the chosen ones are never elevated merely to live in ease, to accumulate comfort, or to enjoy fleeting worldly praise, but to carry the weight of purpose, to become channels of blessing for the unseen, to inspire hearts toward obedience, faith, and righteousness, and to transform their own journeys into living lessons for humanity and for the Ummah. And today, by stepping into this responsibility, you demonstrated the courage to act not for recognition, not for approval, and not for reward in this world, but solely for the pleasure of Allah, the fulfillment of His plan, and the elevation of His creation, understanding fully that every sacrifice, every hardship, every confrontation, every act of patience, and every moment of self-restraint is an investment into a divine legacy that will outlast lifetimes and echo in ways that only Allah can measure. Today, you stood at the threshold of your purpose, recognizing that true responsibility is not passive or theoretical, but active, demanding unwavering commitment, moral clarity, spiritual vigilance, and the ability to act decisively in alignment with divine guidance even when the world resists, misunderstands, or opposes. And in this, Allah witnessed a soul rising above comfort and complacency, embracing the challenge He had meticulously prepared, with a heart purified by trials, a spirit strengthened by patience, and a mind focused on the eternal rather than the fleeting. And he was amazed, saying, "Finally, my servant has accepted the duty I have entrusted to them, not for themselves, not for glory, not for the applause of men, but solely for my sake. And for this I am pleased, and their path shall be illuminated with my guidance, mercy, and unseen support, because the chosen ones understand that true elevation is inseparable from responsibility, that divine trust is heavier than any earthly possession, and that embracing the mission set forth by Allah requires stepping beyond fear, doubt, and hesitation, and standing in the service of a plan far greater than personal ambition. And today, by fully stepping into your divine responsibility, you have entered a realm where your life becomes a testimony, your actions become instruments of mercy, your patience becomes a model for perseverance, and your faith becomes an example for all who witness your journey. And in this sacred act, Allah celebrates the alignment of His servant's heart, soul, and purpose with His eternal wisdom, revealing that the chosen ones are not only those whom Allah prepares through trials, refinement, and patience, but also those who, when called, rise without hesitation to fulfill the roles He has written for them, becoming instruments of His will, vessels of His mercy, and beacons of His guidance. And in this alignment, miracles begin to unfold, blessings multiply in unseen ways, and the heavens rejoice at the courage, sincerity, and obedience of a servant who has embraced the divine responsibility for which they were chosen, transforming not only their own life but the destiny of those they are meant to guide, influence, and inspire. And today, through this act of faith, courage, and submission, You have become a living reflection of Allah's plan, a chosen instrument of mercy and guidance, and a testament to the profound power that lies in stepping fully into the responsibility that only He can entrust. Chosen one. Today Allah was amazed because you finally placed your faith fully in what cannot be seen, touched, or measured. Because the chosen ones know that the greatest level of trust, the highest form of faith, and the purest act of obedience is to believe in the unseen realities of Allah's plan, to act in alignment with His guidance, even when the world cannot validate it, to hope for blessings that have not yet arrived, to walk paths that appear uncertain, and to rely on a divine promise that exists beyond human perception or understanding. And today, in that sacred moment, when you surrendered your eyes, your mind, and your ego to the perfect knowledge of Allah, you crossed a threshold that separates ordinary belief from extraordinary faith, because you finally acknowledged that the outcomes, the timing, the wisdom, and the orchestration of your life belong entirely to the One who created you, the One who measures every heartbeat, the One who records every intention, and the One whose decree is perfect and unerring. And in this acceptance, your heart became a mirror of divine trust, reflecting a surrender so complete that every doubt, every fear, every longing for worldly proof dissolved into the certainty that Allah's unseen plan is flawless, infinite, and beyond human comprehension. And in this act, your soul aligned with the heavens, your purpose resonated with the angels, and your steps began to move in harmony with forces that only the unseen realm could orchestrate, because the chosen ones understand that believing in the unseen is not passive, it is active. It requires patience in delay, courage in uncertainty, obedience in silence, perseverance in trials, and the humility to accept that what is yet to be revealed carries a wisdom greater than what has already been shown. And today, by believing in the unseen, you demonstrated a level of faith that transcends human logic, a spiritual vision that sees with the eyes of the heart rather than the physical senses, and a reliance on Allah so deep that no worldly circumstance, opposition, or confusion can shake it. And Allah gazed upon this moment with amazement, saying, "Finally, my servant has understood that what I decree in the unseen is greater than what the eyes can see, that my wisdom encompasses all things, and that their faith in what they cannot see is a reflection of their trust in me. And for this I am pleased, because the chosen ones are not defined by the clarity of their surroundings, the affirmation of people, or the certainty of results, but by their ability to walk faithfully in alignment with Allah's unseen plan, trusting that every step, every test, every trial, every delay, every act of patience, every silent prayer, and every choice made in obedience contributes to a divine tapestry far greater than human comprehension. And today, you embrace this truth fully, allowing your heart to rest in divine certainty, your soul to rise in unwavering trust, and your actions to be guided by the knowledge that what Allah has written for you will manifest perfectly in its time. And in this, your faith became a living proof, a spiritual fortress, and a beacon for others, showing that the chosen ones do not require proof, validation, or recognition to act, persevere, and serve, because their alignment with the unseen guarantees guidance, provision, protection, and ultimate victory. And in this sacred moment of belief, Allah witnessed the culmination of your patience, your obedience, your sincerity, and your unwavering reliance on Him alone, marveling at the depth of your trust, the strength of your conviction, and the readiness of your soul to receive what He has been preparing silently, perfectly, and eternally for you. And today, by finally believing in the unseen, You became not only a servant of faith, but a vessel of divine certainty, a living example of unwavering trust, and a chosen instrument through which Allah's mercy, wisdom, and plan continue to unfold in the world, unseen by many but perfectly witnessed by the one who sees all, knows all, and commands all. And in this alignment, miracles begin to flow, blessings multiply, doors that were once closed open effortlessly, and the chosen ones step fully into the divine purpose for which they were created, living proof that true belief in the unseen is the highest form of faith, the deepest spiritual elevation, and the ultimate cause for Allah's amazement and pleasure. Chosen ones, as we reach the end of this journey together, let your heart pause and absorb the weight of what has just unfolded, because today, Allah has witnessed something extraordinary in you, your trust when no one else believed, your courage despite fear, your release of what was holding you back, your forgiveness for the sake of Allah, your heartfelt dua, your embrace of divine responsibility, and your unwavering belief in the unseen. Each of these moments was not small, and none of them went unnoticed. They are the proof that the chosen ones are elevated not by recognition, not by worldly applause, not by the ease of life, but by the depth of their faith, the sincerity of their hearts, and the courage to act in alignment with Allah's perfect plan. Remember, the path of the chosen ones is rarely easy, because the greater the purpose, the heavier the responsibility, and the deeper the impact. But know this, every trial, every test, every delay, and every silent struggle has been shaping you, preparing you, refining you into the servant who can carry Allah's light into a world that desperately needs it. Today, you have taken steps that even the unseen realms celebrated. Today, you have aligned your soul with the divine plan. Today, you have proven that the chosen ones do not wait for the world to understand. They act, they forgive, they trust, and they believe because their loyalty is to Allah alone. So hold this truth close, nurture your faith relentlessly, and move forward knowing that the heavens have been moved by your sincerity, your courage, and your submission. You are a chosen one. You are seen. You are honored. And Allah is not just pleased, He is amazed. Carry this with you. Share it with those who need to hear it, and let your journey be a living testament to the power of faith, obedience, and divine alignment. Because the world may not understand, but the heavens are celebrating every step you take toward fulfilling your purpose.